Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to close out February. It is literally the last day of February, and since we are not planning to do anything anymore, I'm going to go ahead and close this budget. I have the remaining of my cash envelopes, which is not much, and we're going to get right into it. So this part of the budget is basically writing down everything that happened and just closing it out and seeing, all the true numbers that actually happened in February. So this is just going to be me breaking down what happened in the month, what got paid and everything, and how everything else went. So let's get right into it. So for paycheck one, and I'm going to start with the income, you guys. The paycheck one was on the 10th, and that was for $1248.32. There was no difference there. Paycheck 2 happened on the 24th, and that was for the same amount, $1248.32. Then I actually did have a miscellaneous, which actually happened on 2/24/21 as well, and that was for $50 because I sold AirPods to my sister. So that was the entire income that I had to deal with this month. So I'm going to go ahead and add that up. Mind you, this one is not income. This was just what I rolled over from January into February. But since it's still in my account, I go ahead and add it in. A total of $4,099.06 for the entire month. So I'm going to go ahead and write that here. And now we're going to get into the bills. So for bills and expenses, I'm not going to go ahead and include rent for March since I'm going to keep that in my rollover for March. I'm not going to go ahead and keep that in here. I'm just going to go ahead and X that out. My health benefits were $132.86. My phone bill was $57. My mom's Bank of America was $55. I quick paid her that. Natural gas was one of those that was variable. I had over budgeted just in case the fees were added on in February's month because of the moving. However, this was actually put onto March's bill due, so I didn't see like this big number. So for natural gas, actually I can take that from paycheck 1 or 2, I believe, was $25.32. So I'm going to go ahead and write that here, $25.32. And this was for our last apartment's natural gas bill. That is all we had to pay. My car payment, I did go ahead and just do the minimum payment. I knew this month was going to be a little light on debt payment, so I really didn't worry about it. And then these two were different amounts, and I think they are set amounts moving forward since I didn't know, so I was kind of guesstimating how much they were. So for car insurance, I paid $58.46. So I'm going to go ahead and put $58.46. And then for renter's insurance, I paid $17.35. So that's actually everything that happened for the bills section here. So I'm going to go ahead and add that up. I ended up spending $513.30 for all of the bills and expenses. Now for this cash envelope, when I stuffed my cash envelopes, I made the hugest mistake of giving myself large denominations for my spending money. And that threw me for a loop. So what ended up happening was that I ended up swiping my card instead, since most of the time I would go to like a drive-through and they wouldn't take hundreds. That was just my fault. I'm not sure why I did that. So I was swiping my card, and at the end I just threw in all the money. However, doing that caused me to have a couple unbudgeted over expenses basically, and then being that I was swiping and it was my birthday month and I was moving, that caused me to have more of like a free spirit mind where I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna swipe my card and I'll deal with the consequences later. So this category is gonna be pretty intense. So let me go ahead and work with that real quick. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn into my weekly check-in, so I can go ahead and add everything that I spent. So the first thing we're gonna do is for groceries. So groceries, I did $142 the first week, $76.13, then $50.96. So I only spent $269.09 in groceries, and that it makes pretty much sense because we didn't do a whole lot of cooking at home. We did a lot of eating out kind of scenario. So yeah, I can imagine why this is so low. So for the entire month, I spent $269.09, and based on having a $375 budget, I should have $105.91 in this cash envelope. Of course, I don't keep the cents. I have a jar where I just stick all my change in there, but I do have 105, and I'm gonna put this aside because everything that I have left over on these cash envelopes, I throw at debt. So I'm gonna go ahead and move that, and now that is empty. Gasoline, we did go ahead and just end up with a $60 budget for the month. And then for my weekly check-in, I didn't spend anything the first week. The second week, I did end up spending $25. Third week, I didn't spend any money. And then this past week, I did end up spending $35. So in total, I did spend all $60 for gas. It was just a lot of going back and forth with my apartment from moving, and then also just hauling stuff so much. So in total, I did spend $60. Spending, this is where a lot of it pretty much everywhere. So for spending, first week I spent $69. Second week I spent $115.19. Third week I spent $77.34, and this past week I ended up spending $117.60. So in total, whew, that's a lot. I ended up spending $379.13 on anything and everything. So I was over budget by $129.13. Budgeted? Well, let me tell you, that's a whole lot of everything, you guys. A whole lot of everything. Now, unbudgeted, I'm going to go ahead, and I think I included all of the moving expenses, if I'm not mistaken. So it was kind of unbudgeted because of the additional expenses that I did on my personal account instead of using, because I had already kind of depleted my moving budget. So I think I went ahead and added all of those transactions here. So yeah, just double checked, and unbudgeted did include all the moving expenses. Like on paycheck one or the rollover, I had them like divided as an expense thing, but in total I just put in budgeted because I was not expecting to spend like my own money on moving out for the move, just because I thought I had a good enough budget, but no, it was not. So in total, after doing all my calculations properly, I had a total in budget of $644.25. So I'm gonna go ahead and put $644.25. So if anyone's wondering, I had an initial budget of $3,000, so about $645 on top of that is what I had in budgeted for moving. So it was pretty expensive, but you gotta understand that for me, it was like first month it was a deposit and the first month's rent, and then it was the moving trucks, and then additional like house stuff that we had to buy at the end, so we could, you know, fulfill the apartment with what we needed. So yeah, that was what happened there. So here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and add all of that up. So $269.09 plus 60, that was $13.52. Is due $13.52.47, and that's how much I ended up spending just on these areas, based on my weekly check-ins that I did on the side. So for cart maintenance and all these miscellaneous, all of this did happen. Now for birthdays, this is where I'm a bit off. So for birthdays, I'm going to go ahead and add some of these because I didn't uncheck them for this specific reason. So we had 68 plus 105.55. And then we had 889 plus 20.78. $203.22 is what I ended up spending on birthdays this month. Now, what threw me out for a loop was Downtown Disney. I should know better and know that sometimes Downtown Disney gets me. The merch, the new collections, pins, the food. So yeah, that is what happened. Now, parking permit, it did not end up being $100. It ended up being $60. But since I missed a bank fee, I'm going to go ahead and put $66 because the bank fee was $6, which was unbudgeted, which I totally forgot to put there. But I'm just going to go ahead and put 66 to add on the bank fee on here. But the permit was $60. So that is what happened with my miscellaneous category. And if I add that up, so 40 plus 25, at a total expense of $434.22, which was almost $20 over budget. So I had expected to make $4,000, and in total I ended up getting or working with $4,099.06. My bills and expenses did come out to be $513.30, just because my rent will be due on the 1st and I will pay it on the 1st, so I will not include it in February's budget. My cash envelopes were kind of out of control at $1,352.47, and that is due to the unbudgeted expenses that the moving had caused and my free-spirited life when it comes to my spending money. I cannot be trusted with swiping just yet. Miscellaneous wasn't too bad at $434.22. And then my debt payment, I have only made a contribution of $124. Now, I do have $105 based on my grocery savings. And then I do have the extra debt payment envelope that I found from finding a wallet through my move. So I'm going to go ahead and add that on there. So currently I'm looking at 100, 5, 10, 15, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. So 131 is what I have currently to throw at my debt. And I've already made $124 to that debt payment. So I have $255 in total for the month. However, if I have any left over in this department, I want to go ahead and throw it because I'm still trying to achieve that $1,000 goal. So at least we know it's $255 for now. So if I go ahead and start doing the calculations from my income and all the expenses, I should be able to get a leftover amount if there's any. So now that I know I have that in place, I do want to go ahead and fulfill my debt snowball of $1,000. But the first thing that I got to think about before I do that, because I do need my rollover money, is that I need to take out my March rent real quick, just so I can get an estimate of how much I need to keep in there. I need to keep in there my first bills, which is my health benefits, just real quick. And then my first 2 weeks of cash envelopes. So my groceries, my gas, my spending, and I believe that is about, oh, and my sister's birthday, because her birthday is coming up. So I have about $528 to throw at debt, and I currently have $255. However, since I'm not comfortable with just depleting my account. I don't know why. I used to be okay with it, but now with the pandemic, I'm like, no. So here, we're gonna do 445. Okay, so that should actually be my entire budget breakdown. So now I'm gonna go ahead and subtract all of this so I can get my numbers. So I should have left over about $1,354 in my bank account to have a March startup. And this is like that because I have my rent due on the 1st and I have my health benefits due on the 1st, but technically they don't pull out until the 5th. Not sure why. And this will contribute all my cash envelopes for the next 2 weeks. So yeah, that has been my entire budget for February. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any other questions. I love to answer them. But just know that this is the way I do it. There's no way for you need to do this. Sometimes it can be complicated, but if you understand your own finances, then you know your own loop. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, you guys.